Welcome to the F-Bound Podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Schroeder, Executive Function Coach. I help neurodivergent women learn tips and strategies to improve the life skills that will help them be successful. Rejection sensitivity or imposter syndrome. Do you ever feel like you don't belong or that you're not good enough despite evidence to the contrary? This feeling is commonly known as imposter syndrome, and it's a phenomenon that affects many people regardless of their level of success. While imposter syndrome can be caused by a variety of factors, one contributing factor is rejection sensitivity. Rejection sensitivity refers to the tendency to take rejection or criticism more personally than others. People with high rejection sensitivity are more likely to interpret neutral or ambiguous feedback as negative, which can lead to feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. When combined with imposter syndrome, rejection sensitivity can create a self-perpetuating cycle of negative thoughts and emotions that can be difficult to overcome. Research has shown that there is a significant correlation between rejection sensitivity and imposter syndrome. People with high rejection sensitivity are more likely to experience imposter syndrome, and those who experience imposter syndrome are more likely to have high rejection sensitivity. Sounds like a vicious circle, doesn't it? Understanding the connection between these two phenomena can help you recognize and address your feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt, leading to greater confidence and success. Understanding rejection sensitivity. Rejection sensitivity refers to the tendency to perceive and react to rejection in an intense and negative way. It's a personality trait that is characterized by a heightened sensitivity to social cues that suggest rejection or disapproval. People with high levels of rejection sensitivity are more likely to interpret ambiguous situations as signs of rejection and are more likely to feel anxious or upset in response. Psychological framework. Rejection sensitivity is often viewed as a form of anxiety that is rooted in a fear of rejection. It's closely related to social anxiety and can be seen as a specific form of social anxiety that is focused on the fear of being rejected. People with high levels of rejection sensitivity may also experience other symptoms of anxiety such as worry, nervousness, and tension. Developmental origins. Rejection sensitivity is thought to develop early in life, often as a result of negative experiences with caregivers or peers. Children who experience rejection or neglect from their parents or who are bullied or excluded by their peers may develop a heightened sensitivity to rejection. This sensitivity may persist into adulthood and can have significant impact on social and emotional functioning. Exploring imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is a psychological phenomenon where people doubt their own abilities and accomplishments and have a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud despite evidence of their competence. It's often accompanied by feelings of inadequacy, anxiety, and self-doubt, which can lead to negative consequences such as decreased self-esteem, burnout, and even depression. Psychological patterns. People who experience imposter syndrome often engage in negative thought patterns such as discounting their own achievements, attributing their success to external factors, and magnifying their mistakes and flaws. These are people who will say things like, "I didn't do much," or "so-and-so is so much better at this." They have a hard time acknowledging when they've accomplished something because they don't feel like they deserve it. They may also engage in perfectionistic tendencies, setting unrealistic expectations for themselves and feeling like they have to excel in every aspect of their lives. They figure if they work toward perfection, no one will find out they're really a fraud. Cultural and social factors. Imposter syndrome can be influenced by cultural and social factors such as gender, race, and socioeconomic status. For example, women and minorities may experience imposter syndrome more frequently due to societal stereotypes and expectations. Additionally, people from low-income backgrounds may feel like they don't belong in certain academic or professional settings, leading to feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. Interconnection of rejection sensitivity and imposter syndrome. Theoretical perspectives. Rejection sensitivity and imposter syndrome are two psychological constructs that have been found to be interconnected. Rejection sensitivity is defined as the tendency to anxiously expect, readily perceive, and overreact to social rejection. Imposter syndrome, on the other hand, is characterized by feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt despite evidence of competence and success. According to theoretical perspectives, people with high rejection sensitivity are more likely to experience imposter syndrome. This is because they're more likely to interpret feedback from others as rejection, leading to feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. These individuals may also have a heightened fear of failure, which can further contribute to imposter syndrome. And the kicker is that both of these are more likely to be seen in neurodivergent people. Empirical evidence. Empirical evidence supports the interconnection between rejection sensitivity and imposter syndrome. A study conducted by Bravata and colleagues 2020 found that people with high levels of rejection sensitivity were more likely to experience imposter syndrome. The study also found that people with imposter syndrome had higher levels of anxiety and depression, which are common symptoms of rejection sensitivity. Another study by Coakley and colleagues, 2013, found that imposter syndrome was positively correlated with rejection sensitivity. The study also found that individuals with imposter syndrome were more likely to engage in maladaptive coping strategies such as procrastination, avoidance, which can further contribute to feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. Empirical evidence supports this interconnection between imposter syndrome and rejection sensitivity, highlighting the importance of addressing both constructs in psychological interventions. Impact on mental health. Rejection sensitivity and imposter syndrome can have a significant impact on your mental health. The constant fear of being rejected or exposed as a fraud can lead to a range of mental health issues, including anxiety, depression, and stress. Anxiety and depression. Anxiety and depression are common mental health issues that can be caused by rejection sensitivity and imposter syndrome. When you constantly worry about being rejected or exposed as a fraud, it can lead to feelings of anxiety and depression. You may feel like you are not good enough or that you do not belong, which can make it difficult to function in your daily life. Often, though, this can be a chicken and egg argument. Did your anxiety cause the imposter syndrome, or did the imposter syndrome cause the anxiety? Stress and coping mechanisms. Rejection sensitivity and imposter syndrome can also lead to stress and a range of coping mechanisms. When you're constantly worried about being rejected or exposed as a fraud, it can lead to stress and burnout. You may find yourself working longer hours or taking on more responsibilities to prove yourself, which can lead to exhaustion and stress. This is especially true if you lean into perfectionism. To cope with these feelings, you may turn to unhealthy coping mechanisms such as substance abuse, overeating, or self-harm. It's important to recognize these coping mechanisms and seek help if you're struggling to cope with rejection sensitivity and imposter syndrome. Rejection sensitivity and imposter syndrome are two related phenomena that can have a significant impact on your life. While these two issues are distinct, they often co-occur and can feed off each other. For example, if you have a high level of rejection sensitivity, you may be more likely to experience imposter syndrome because you're constantly looking for signs of rejection or disapproval from others. It's important to recognize these issues and seek help if necessary. Therapy can be a helpful tool for addressing rejection sensitivity and imposter syndrome, as well as other related issues such as anxiety and depression. Additionally, practicing self-compassion and focusing on your strengths and accomplishments can help to counteract feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. By taking steps to address rejection sensitivity and imposter syndrome, you can improve your overall well-being and feel more confident in your abilities. Remember, everyone experiences these feelings at some point in their lives, and it's okay to ask for help when you need it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the F-Bomb podcast. Thank you for listening. Remember to subscribe below and check out my show notes to learn more about my Facebook group, courses, and membership.